Ladies, gentlemen, and destined ones of all ages, today we're talking about something a little bit different when it comes to Black Myth Wukong, which is New Game Plus. Plenty of players have already dove into this and experienced it, while plenty of others are still working through the game for the first time at their own pace. And again, a third group already has finished the game for the first time, but aren't usually the type to engage with something like New Game Plus. So today what we're going to do is talk about New Game Plus in Black Myth Wukong, what makes it unique, how it works differently than you may be used to in many other games, why it is genuinely worth giving a try even if you don't normally do second playthroughs of single player games, and we'll talk about all the things that happen in the new cycles for the game, which is the term for each New Game Plus run, that you simply won't experience otherwise in your first playthrough. One of the biggest immediate things upon entering New Game Plus then for the first time, you will notice that you will have a new spell. This is called Life-Saving Strand. This is an alternate strand spell to replace a pluck of many. You have to choose between them, and this revives you on death on a relatively long cooldown. There's a whole set of skill tree upgrades for this spell too, just like the other ones, which even culminates in a node that gives you a chance to not consume the use of Strand on death, meaning that it won't trigger the cooldown so you can revive multiple times in a row if it happens to trigger the proc. The other biggest immediate thing that you may notice upon entering New Game Plus for the first time is that you might get a 6th relic to choose an upgrade on. This will only happen though if you completed the game with the secret ending as well, which requires completing the secret area in Chapter 3 of the game and the super hard boss that's within this. To unlock Chapter 3's secret area as well, which is the Great Pagoda Shrine, you need to have completed the secret areas in Chapter 1, 2, 4, and Chapter 5, as well as doing the Treasure Hunter questline in Chapter 3 to unlock Spellbinder. If you do all this before finishing the final boss of the story, you will get the secret ending, or the true ending, whatever you actually want to call it. The ending of the game will play out differently, and upon loading into New Game Plus, you will get the new relic, Freed Mind, your 6th relic. This has 3 quite powerful options to choose from between here: general light attack damage increase, a really awesome one that makes duplicates from a pluck of many, copy your larger moves like 4 focus point heavy attacks, which is the avenue to the largest singular hits in the game, honestly, or the third option that boosts Life-Saving Strand, the new spell that we just talked about, by giving you a damage reduction whenever it triggers. Aside from that then, there is also a new soak for your gourd that is only available in New Game Plus, and it's called Guanyin's Willow Leaf. You get this by buying it from the Shen Monkey NPC who handles your gourd upgrades, but he only starts selling this in New Game Plus. This gives you a full gourd refill whenever you revive, either through Life-Saving Strand or through the medicine that will give you a rebirth as well. Then aside from that, an important thing to bring up for sure is new weapons. You unlock a number of new weapons for crafting when you enter New Game Plus. Specifically, they are further entries to the already existing crafting trees, though most of them you cannot craft until you have progressed through certain activities within your second cycle. 2 of these weapons are tied to the bosses of secret areas of the different chapters. One of them is Fuban's Staff, which has 25% base crit, which is absolutely nasty for any sort of crit-based build. The Stormflash Long Staff is made from materials you get by killing all the long bosses, and you get enough to craft this within the second cycle. This makes you apply shock to yourself, but once you do it, just literally changes all damage you do into thunder damage, which makes you apply shock debuff, which increases your own damage, and it also gives you different ways of scaling your damage because your attacks will count as thunder too, and it's honestly pretty sick. And of course, the real big deal for high damage super late in, even multiple cycles through, is the Dark Iron Staff. This requires you to complete the secret area of Chapter 5 a second time in New Game Plus in your second cycle, so it is quite late in. You will have to be barely able to even use this before entering your third cycle. But this staff is nuts. It gives you an attack boost based on your defense. You can easily get over 600 defense with mythical armor sets, and that translates to more than 100 bonus attack on this staff, which of course makes it absolutely incredible. This means that it also scales with things like the skill tree defense upgrades, which gives you even more ways of getting attacked than you normally could, or even with consumables if used correctly as well. And it opens up the ability to scale your offense with your defensives, which of course helps you build quite a bit with the way that New Game Plus scales as you get further in to have a bit more survivability too. Our next fun bonus of New Game Plus is that you just get more Curio slots. With each New Game Plus playthrough, you can return to the Zodiac Village, and the first time that you challenge the blacksmith and win in each cycle, you will gain another Curio slot. In your first playthrough, this will bring you up to 3 slots, but I believe 5 is the maximum Curio slots, which you can get to in New Game Cycle 3. So that's pretty nutty of a late addition to your kit, but also it's honestly just really cool that they expand on things even like this through additional playthroughs as ways of boosting your power in much more interesting ways than just like increased attack or defense, really. Then we have 2 things left, but they are pretty major things as well. The first is that in New Game Plus, you get extra points to put into each relic. You get relic relics for the first time at the end of each chapter in your initial playthrough, and each time that you gain a relic again in the new game cycle, as in once you finish each chapter, you will gain an extra point to spend in the same relic. So in the second game cycle, you end up with 2 options selected per relic by the end of it, which can genuinely be a ton of power gained. A lot of builds can benefit from 2 of the upgrades on each of the actual relics, if not 3, because, well, the third cycle you will slowly be filling out all of your third relic option choices as well, with the exception being the Freed Mind relic, the 6th relic. This is the one that you only get for doing the secret ending, which we talked about earlier quite a bit, and then entering New Game Plus afterwards. This one can actually gain extra points, but it will only do so if you complete the secret ending again on a subsequent playthrough, and then will apply when you enter the next new cycle where you can put a bonus point into it. And that ties even further to, honestly, maybe even the coolest and deepest secret in Black Myth Wukong's New Game Plus system that I haven't even reached myself yet, because it requires you to be in your 4th playthrough of the game. Yes, your 4th playthrough. This is specifically because it requires you to have every single relic choice active all at once, all of the 3 options for all 6 of the different relics. Once you do, which you will at the very start of your 4th playthrough if you did the secret areas and all the previous runs that you've done, you will gain access to what is affectionately known as Wukong Stance. This adds an extra bit of extra bar to your 4 focus point charged little meter in the bottom corner, and it is essentially like building up a 5th focus point worth of investment to get it. You can only even do this when wearing the full Wukong armor set as well on top of the actual relic requirement. Filling up this 5th point essentially though puts you into Wukong Stance when you spend it for the next minute or so afterwards. This is essentially just the cool, unique, special playstyle that you get to use exclusively in Chapter 6 after you get the full Wukong armor and the staff together. This will allow you to charge a 4 focus point heavy with the Smash Dance moveset without needing to actually invest anything into the ability to do that. It's just the way the stance works. It makes your light attacks have extended reach as well, which is awesome, and it just generally increases your damage as well. Not to mention that it actually makes you talk. It gives you a little bit of voice lines, a few of the little bit of personality quirks of actually getting to be Sun Wukong. It makes you actually talk as a character while in combat while it's active, which is something that we just literally do not do for all of the playthroughs leading up to this point. This form, the actual Wukong Stance, will only last for around a minute after you trigger it. Then you have to do the full build up on this all over again. So it isn't quite permanent, but it is an entire full-on bonus game mechanic that changes up the gameplay and playstyle of the game a fair amount once you have it. And it's something that you literally don't unlock properly until your 4th playthrough, which is honestly a level of secret that most games wouldn't even dare to try and do these days. And I think that that in itself is honestly extremely cool that they did. That just about does it for today then, everyone. All of the things that you can get or do with New Game Plus and Black Myth Wukong that do not apply to your first playthrough. And honestly, the completely unexpected bonus aspects that come with further playthroughs in the game that most people did not actually appreciate. That most people absolutely do not anticipate. The one other thing that I didn't mention, of course, is that you can get anything that you happen to miss the first time around through the game. Like the unique gauntlets, the venomous arm guards, which are exclusively from breaking 4 of the arms on the back of the Venom Taoist optional boss. Because ain't nobody doing that by accident their first time, which means the vast majority of people just missed that on their first playthrough until they maybe looked it up afterwards and realized that they missed out. I hope you've all enjoyed this then, everyone, and of course let me know your own thoughts on the depth of New Game Plus and all that stuff down in the comments below. Like if you liked the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet. Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.